Okay, welcome back. This is video 2. Now what I have done is I've already pre-pulled the next 5 rows. So the first row is 18. The second row is a 1 and 17 and on up. Now again, don't worry about the left and the right. What you want to do is read like the books, always from left to right, and you want to go ahead and lay them out in the same fashion, left to right, just like you do in the books. So your word chart and your beads should match perfectly. Now, we have done the first 3 rows. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to add our next row, our 4th row. And the way that I always tell people to do is you pick up 1 bead, because this is single drop. If you were doing double drop or 2 drop, then you would pick up 2 beads. If you were doing 3 drop, it'd be 3 beads, and so on. And that's true for any stitch, okay? Not just peyote. If you look at this stitch and what you have already, you have a whole bunch of downs and a whole bunch of ups, or valleys and mountains. So you pick up a bead and you fill in the down and go through the up. And what happens when we pull this string tight, if I can get a good angle for you to see here, is that first bead now becomes an up and the second bead becomes a down. Okay, so we're going to continue to do this. You're going to pick up a bead and you're going to go through the down and fill the up. And each time you do it, your pattern is going to be shifting, so the downs are now going to become ups. And this is where the left and the right come in. Okay, so pick up a bead, fill in the down, go through the up. Pick up a bead, go through the down, fill in the up. Now a lot of times I'll say hills and valleys, and a lot of that is because it's on a side. People don't think about the ups and the downs the same way, because you're looking at it from the side, not from a horizontal. You're looking at it vertically. And this is the way I choose to hold it. Different people hold their patterns different ways as they do them. Okay, and so as I go through this, I'm going to finish this row and then I'll show you how to do it. Again, don't do more than about 4 or 6 before you pull a thread if you want to do it that way. And always turn your work and pull the thread the way that the thread is coming through. Don't fight against the beads. Again, tiny tubes of glass. People don't realize that they are tubes of glass unless they look really carefully, or they know, kind of like what they are. And because they're tubes of glass, if something falls or drops onto things like concrete or sidewalks and stuff like that, a lot of times they break. And people get very confused of why their jewelry has broken, but it's because a lot of times they've dropped it somewhere. And almost to the end. And I don't know if you guys saw, but when I was trying to keep my hands out of the way, which I don't do a very good job of, I actually shot one of my beads up into the pattern there, but I'm going to grab it here. And I keep catching the second bead. I'm actually very quick at this when I'm not on film, but trying to keep my hands out of the film, it slows you down quite a bit. Okay, so now we're going to pull that tight. And so now we have our 4th row. Okay, and if you look, you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. Now what I usually do is I take and I pull back on that very first bead just a little, and then I tighten it, and that tightens everything down to where it goes. Now you're going to turn your work over, and you're always going to have your working thread coming out of the closest bead as where you're going to add. See, my thread's coming out here, I'm adding this bead, and I'm going to do the same thing all the way to the end. Now, I did say that I was going to show you how to wind off, so let me do that real quick. Okay, because all you're going to do is work your way up then pull more rows, work your way up, pull more rows. You can pull 5 at a time, 10 at a time, 40 at a time, whatever you feel comfortable with. The more experienced beader you are and the more room and more stable of a space you have, the more beads you would probably pull. On an average project, I pull about 15, maybe 20 rows at a time, but I have been known to pull like 70 rows if it's very small and only a few colors at a time. Okay, so in order to actually wind off or tuck in your thread, you do not use any knots in this stitch. Okay, now I am not going to wind this off, and the reason is because we're going to use this for the ends, which I will show you in the next video. But I am going to show you how to do it with this thread that I have going right here. What you're going to do is you're going to want to go around in a circle, because you're going to run out of thread before the end of the bracelet, and you're going to have to tie off and tie back on, which again, you don't actually tie, no knots. So you're going to go in a circle. You follow the path of where the beads were. Okay, now once you've gone in a circle, and you don't want to do 2 or 3 circles in one spot because it'll make that space really thick, and that's not a good thing. Okay, so I was here, and I went around right here once. Now I'm going to move the thread to another spot, and I'm going to do another circle. Okay, the only thing that I also say is do not leave your tail right at the end of a circle. So move it up a few beads, and then you would cut it off and start a new thread. Now, to start a new thread, you do the exact same thing that I just showed you. The only difference is that you work a tail in, and then you have a working thread instead of cutting off the extra. Again, if you have any questions, problems, hopefully not complaints, you can always reach me on Messenger, on Facebook pages, or you're welcome to email me. Go on and finish your bracelet and all the beadwork, and then start your video 3. That will show you how to do the ends, and then and the clasp, and on video 4 I will show you how to do the fringe. I'll see you then. Have fun.